A few months ago, I'll close with this. A few months ago, I visited Sand Branch, Texas, a community just south of here without any running water. My volunteers and I came together to drop off packs of bottled water for the residents in Sand Branch. They have been failed by leaders in Washington, D.C. So much of our money has gone to billionaire tax breaks and new forever wars in the Middle East, and none of it is coming back home for communities like Sand Branch. We are closing schools and hospitals in this country so we can bomb schools and hospitals in other countries. There is never enough money for education and healthcare, but there's always enough money for war. This morning we learned that one of our own, Private Isabella Gonzalez, was killed by an Iranian airstrike in Jordan. Isabella grew up in Carrollton, not too far from here. She was just 19 years old. She just graduated from Hebron High School. Isabella was sent to serve in a reckless war that no one asked for. We pay for it with our tax dollars. Isabella paid for it with her life. There is no greater love of country than to lay down your own life for it. Isabella died a hero and a patriot. We are grateful for her service and her sacrifice, but our gratitude for her service should not be mistaken for an acceptance of her death. We should not be sending our brave young men and women like Isabella off to die in another forever war. Our service members love this country. It's time for this country to love them back. This underscores the stakes of this election. We have a lot of work to do, DeSoto, a lot of work to do. I, as the candidate, have a lot of work to do. We, as a campaign, have a lot of work to do. But if we do that work, if we do it together, we are going to do something extraordinary in November of this year. We are going to end 30 years of one-party rule and elect a senator who's going to serve all of us. So a few things. We have seen hundreds of thousands of black women laid off because of this crazy DOGE process. And I don't want to call them public employees. I want to call them what they are, which is public servants. These are the folks who selflessly sign up to protect our communities, to protect our schools and our kids, and they deserve so much better than what they got from Elon Musk's crazy DOGE committee. And I am committing to you that when we win this seat, when we win a Senate majority, we will repeal these DOGE cuts. We will restore these public servants to their positions. And let me explain real quick, because this is not just about someone's job. This is about all of us. Because some of you may have heard that a pest that we got rid of 60 years ago, the New World screwworm, is now back in Texas infecting our livestock. It is threatening ranchers and farmers all over the state. We had an office in Uvalde, Texas, staffed with experts monitoring the spread of the New World screwworm, preventing it from coming into this country. And then the richest man in the world thought it was a great idea to eliminate that office. And now the New World screwworm is back in Texas after 60 years. So this is not just about restoring people to their jobs, as important as that is. These jobs are critical. They protect us. They protect our economy. And it's why we need to do so much better by our public servants. So thank you for asking that question. You also mentioned education. So I, along with Representative Gina Hinojosa, our next governor, she's the best. I think our colleagues can agree Gina's the best. She and I sit next to each other on the floor of the House. We sit in the back row because we're the bad kids who cause all the problems. She and I led the fight against these private school voucher scams. And let me just real quick, for those that don't know the history of this, the first voucher scam was introduced in Texas in 1957. And for the history buffs in the room, you know that was just a couple years after Brown v. Board of Education. That first voucher bill was a deliberate attempt to allow white parents to take their kids out of newly integrated public schools and send their kids to white-only private schools. These voucher scams have a dark, disturbing history. The good news was that Texans came together on a bipartisan basis to defeat vouchers every decade they were brought up until this last legislative session, when Greg Abbott took $12 million from an out-of-state billionaire from Pennsylvania. Guy didn't even live here. He took that $12 million and he primaried his fellow Republicans whose only sin was standing up for their rural public schools. They rammed that voucher bill through. And now we're seeing folks pushing a federal voucher scam that would defund our schools, not across Texas, but across the nation. We've seen them gut the Department of Education. We've seen them attempt to whitewash our history curriculum. We've seen them try to ban books from diverse authors in our school libraries. There is a full frontal assault on public education in this country, and it's why we need a proven fighter for our schools in the U.S. Senate. It's why we need a teacher in the United States Senate to fight for our students. And I hear from Black Texans who have lost their jobs over the last 12 months all the time, all over the state. And we need a senator who's not just going to reverse the cuts made through the DOGE process, but who is absolutely committed to unrigging this economy so that all of us can get ahead. Right now, we have too many working poor. And in my view, that should be an oxymoron. If you are working full-time in this country, you should not be poor. And we have so many hardworking Texans who can't get by because of the high cost of living and because our pay has been stagnant or declining for decades. Talking about the middle class, we used to have the largest middle class in the world. That middle class has almost disappeared. I saw a stat the other day that 90% of baby boomers went on to earn more money than their parents. That's a pretty good definition of the American dream, earning. Can you hear me? I heard someone say Ken Paxton. This section over here is troublemakers. So 90% of baby boomers made more money than their parents. For millennials, it's 50%. For Gen Z, it's even lower. So what I'm committed to is economic mobility, ensuring that we have an economic system that rewards hard work. And I've heard about this across Black communities. We talked about the attack on Black-owned businesses, but there are so many young Black entrepreneurs who can't access capital, who can't realize their dreams of starting a business. And we should all want that because that's how we strengthen this economy. That's how we all end up richer and stronger as a community. So supporting our young entrepreneurs, including our young Black entrepreneurs. Childcare, we often don't think of as a workforce issue, but if you're a young parent, a young mom, a young dad, you can't contribute to this economy if you can't afford childcare during the day. And right now, childcare is more expensive than college in the state of Texas. This is a silent crisis. Our seniors may not know this. You may not know this if you don't have young kids, but it is near impossible to afford quality childcare in this country. And that is a workforce issue. The last one I'll mention is home ownership. Because the cornerstone of the American dream is home ownership. And I was sitting, we have a lot of Gen Z members of our team. The best thing you can do as a candidate is listen to your Gen Z staff because they know what they're talking about. We were developing our housing platform, which you can again check out on our website. And during that discussion, I used the term, some of the older folks here are going to know this term. I used the term starter home. And I got blank stares from every Gen Z member of the team. The idea that you used to be able to afford a home in your 20s or your 30s, it is a foreign concept to young people. And that's because the system is rigged against us. We were told, you look like a young man too, we were told that if we worked hard, he's laughing, I guess. If we were told if we work hard, if we play by the rules, if we study, we could live that dream, and that was a lie. And so I passed a bill in the state legislature to allow us to start building a kind of housing that they use all over the world, smaller complexes for things like condos, which is a great entry point to home ownership. I passed that bill in a Republican legislature, but we also need to go one step further at the national level. We have to outlaw Wall Street from gobbling up all the housing stock in this state and in this country. We have to end exclusionary zoning and the vestiges of redlining so that all of us can benefit from home ownership. This has to be at the cornerstone of our economic vision, because if you can't own property, it's hard to be able to build wealth generationally, and that is the goal. And so we have more work to do on this, but we are trying to articulate an economic vision where folks who work hard, folks who play by the rules are able to get ahead. That's not the economy we have today. If we're going to rebuild the middle class, then we all have to come together to win this election so we can unrig this broken economy.